On behalf of Tech Mahindra Foundation, we welcome on the occasion of Transcend. Today, we are going to engage with you on a panel discussion, beginning with the journey of Tech Mahindra Foundation. But before that, let me set and share with you some ground rules. Vishal, can we move to the next slide, please? So we are today talking about leveraging technology for continuous professional development of in-service teachers. So on this occasion, you will be finding a very interesting and prominent cohort of educators, experts. So move on to the next slide, Vishal. Just to set the ground rule, all the participants are requested to mute your microphone. And if you wish to contribute to the ongoing discussion or ask questions, please communicate the same in the Zoom chat box. You may direct the questions to our host or any of our co-hosts. We also request you to disable video because that will be helpful to maintain the sufficient network bandwidth and minimize distraction. We request all attendees to keep their videos disabled for the entire duration of the meeting. So let's talk in brief about Tech Mahindra Foundation. We started in 2006, which is a CSR arm of Tech Mahindra Limited, working in the areas of employability, education, and disability. Disability and women empowerment are our cross-cutting themes, and we work with 90+ partners. We are working in 11 locations across India and working through 150+ projects. And more than 3 lakh direct beneficiaries are there across our programs, and indirect beneficiaries are more than 2 million cumulatively. What exactly, Vishal, can we move to the next slide, please? So these are the programs. One vertical is employability, education next, and disability is the other. We have academies on healthcare, digital technology, logistics, and we also have a special programs for disability, and then we have education, which is the area through which we are working on Shanker. In Shanker, we are working for continuous professional development of teachers, and we also have a RISE program, which is for all-round development of the students as a whole. And then we have Mobile Science Lab, which is innovative program to take science to the schools and to help them to do activity-based learning. Moving forward, we need to understand what exactly we in-service teacher education institutes are doing. So this is the institute where we are celebrating 10th year of our journey. This was established in March 2013 in the Rishad Garden, with the vision that continuing professional development of teachers and school leaders are of paramount importance. We started in Shaktinagar as our second unit in 2018, and we have also started last year in Defense Colony. ITEI has trained more than 30,000 teachers and school leaders since its inception. So let's begin with the panel discussion now. And with this, I think it is the time when I will be glad to welcome our renowned panelists, starting with Professor Behera. Professor Amarendra Behera who is a joint director at Central Institute of Educational Technology, is a renowned personality of India in education technology. He is working with NCRT, and he is very much involved in multimedia programs like radio, television, interactive contents. He is also policymaker for the country through National Focus Group Position Paper as well as NCF 2005. His research methodology for ICT, online courses, and tremendous work in the area of technology in education. He has been awarded national and international awards. So now let's come to Professor Rishikesh. Professor Rishikesh is Associate Director in the School of Education, Azim Prem University, Bangalore. He worked in the education policy domain as well as learner assessment and teacher education. He has worked closely with Dr. K. Kasturirangan Committee, which has drafted National Education Policy 2019. He has also been member of implementation of NEP in Karnataka. Now coming to Dr. Angel Rathnabai. She is Assistant Professor in Education Technology. She is very much into the implementation of all those portals which are renowned and of high end use for the teachers across country. Nishtha, Swayamprabha, and so many like that. And she is also research associate, program coordinator, and her expertise in mass education, ICT in education, and education technology. And she is also expert in designing and implementing online and blended courses in Moodle. So once again, welcome to the esteemed panelists. And we are really glad to welcome all of you. And then this is the time then we can start with Professor Behera. So I hope, sir, you are on camera. Professor Behera. Professor Amarendra Behera, sir. So let me start with Professor Behera, are you there? Can anyone confirm, please?
Asif, Professor Behera is trying to join. I think he'll take a couple of minutes to join.
Okay, no issues. No issues. So I will just start with Professor Rishi, and Professor Behera is, I think, he has just joined. So I will start with him.
So Professor Behera has already joined.
Yeah. So I just want to see him on camera, ma'am. So. Yeah.
Behera, sir, yours audio is muted. Need to be.
Behera, sir, welcome once again. Yeah, we were just looking for you. So that was, sir, please unmute. Yeah. So welcome, sir. So we have just introduced our panelists, started with you. And I know that it is the time that we should start talking about the policy perspectives and the questions connected with leveraging technology for in-service teacher education. So, sir, I would like to start with you only. And I was just thinking that how do we start this discussion? And this discussion can be started with having an overview of what exactly is the status of in-service education in India. Sir, please, your thoughts. You are muted, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very good morning and namaskar to all of you. And thank you, Asif for putting before me $1 million question. Uh, and all of us, we know that India is second to none in scale. So we have 1.5 million schools, 8.5 million teachers in school itself. So together, higher education and school education, it is maybe more than 10 million teachers, 1 crore teachers in the country. So their continuous professional development has been always a challenge and has been always a resource also for all of us. Even the NEP 2020 has reiterated the goal because it says teachers are preparing our future, the students. So therefore, they are also one of the stumbling blocks, and also they need to be nurtured in a way so that they prepare the future generation in a way, and they become responsible and also skilled to live their lateral life and contribute in nation building. And even the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam concept also they contribute for the whole world. And in India, we have been organizing a very systematic continuous professional development, whether it is from national level or bottom-up approach to district level through diets. And if I talk about the teacher preparation since last couple of years after the NEP 2020 has been implemented since July 2020, on 29th July it was launched. And since then, there is a sea change because the policy visualizes that every teacher needs to be trained annually for 50 hours in upcoming areas also. Particularly, the policy talks about 360 assessment. Policy talks about no hard separation in dealing with concepts and reducing the curriculum load in a way that children holistically learn rather than they learn in piecemeal. And even the policy talks about the sports integration and toy-based pedagogy also, game-based pedagogy also. So the teachers needs to be infused with these concepts and also have adequate skill to deal with. So NISTHA integrated teacher training, particularly developed at the national level, which talks about a national initiative for preparation of teachers at the national level and head teachers. So it takes every concept holistically. And for the first time in COVID pandemic time, 42 lakh teachers could be scaled using Diksha platform, Diksha infrastructure, and where we have been also keeping a track of the teachers, how many are the target, how many trained through a Vidya Samiksha Kendra created last year in July, launched by Honorable Education Minister and Honorable Home Affairs, Minister of Home Affairs. So, and the Vidya Samiksha Kendra is also helping us. If UP there are 75 plus districts, so each district has a target, which district has achieved what target of teacher capacity building. And it is not necessary that every time NISTA, even there are some states like Assam, so though we have NISTA ECC for the teachers, but Assam is leveraging technology and also through face-to-face mode having Anganwadi workers training at their own level, developing a bottom-up approach model for teacher training. So the preschool teachers. And similarly also recently on Diksha platform, we have enabled the districts last May, June we initiated, and till date 50 plus districts, they are capable enough to develop continuous professional development programs using Diksha infrastructure, and based on their district needs, they are doing that also. So having saying that, there are many things happening parallel, like Tech Mahindra is doing many initiatives related to school education and teacher education. There are plenty of other agencies also. The policy mentions very emphatically that we need to have convergence of all our efforts rather than going in piecemeal. Like NCRT, Vidya Samiksha Kendra at national level does not capture the teacher training done by Tech Mahindra team. So if those are taken care of, so if any issues related to coding, programming, disruptive technologies, so if it is introduced AI also and the machine learning, Even machine translation as a major resource the teachers need to know, so that the 1700 languages we have in our country, with 5 distinct language families we have in our country, starting from Aryan, Dravidian, Austroasiatic, Tibeto-Burman and Andamanese language families. So teachers can develop the content at their own level. So therefore, the budget announcement this year also is echoing the teacher preparation part, that every teacher should be trained as a digital teacher, so that the teacher know that if I have to teach a particular subject, maybe water, air, maybe shelter. So first developing a concept map and giving a whole perspective through a concept map, the child will know a bird eye view of whole concept, how integrated to each other. Today is the World Water Day also. So Jal Sampat Divas hai. So we are celebrating. So if water is learnt holistically by a child, that because only 93% water is usable, 97% water is in ocean, and out of that 2.5% is in glacier, only 0.5% are drinkable available with us. So how to preserve it? So a child knowing everything, every data related to water, will tell his parents or at home after cleaning the vegetable, Mama, give me that water. I have planted a small sapling and I will put this water there. So I will not waste that. So children will learn holistically, where cognitive, psychomotor and affective, all the domains are taken care of. And the 21st century skill also, communication, cooperation, collaboration, critical thinking, creative thinking and problem solving are also taken care of. And now technology is helping us to gather information, but the child must know how to gather, analyze and also zero down to concepts and develop skills. So that is very essential. NCERT recently also have launched a couple of initiatives. Even the Jadui Pitara launched by Honorable Education Minister on 20th February is one step ahead in means infusing these skills among the teachers, that using local made materials, toys, games, puppets, mopeds, charts, maps, models, which are made at the local level and with local materials. So in case of Assam, yesterday I was there by using bamboo, how they can make toys and other equipments, and the children need to learn different concepts using that also. So we need to do that. So it is not a small thing, no shortcut is there for teacher preparation. We need consolidated planning, and technology needs to be used for scale. I quote our Honorable Prime Minister when telling about the use and integration of technology for teaching, learning, assessment. Even the policy talks about overcoming language barrier, even for the bank children using, and for teacher preparation, both pre-service and in-service level, since we are talking about in-service level. So Honorable PM says, if we use technology, the skill, scale and speed together can be achieved. I stop here. Over to you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you. So such a fascinating response to the question, sir. So I was just wondering that since India is such a diverse country, and we also have technological challenges due to some kind of infrastructure issues. When we talk about Odisha, the state from where you come from, when we talk about Northeast, where you had been yesterday, it is important, sir, to highlight and please add on this, that how this issues, in spite of we are in the 5G bandwidth, and we have much advances in technology, no doubt about it. And Honorable Prime Minister is very much into it, that technology can really be helpful in transformation of the country for 21st century. But how those challenges can be, sir, mitigated when we have large population also in villages, and there are some issues which can connect people, especially teachers who are residing in the villages.
Sudhji rightly mentioned that the rural remote area in our country is the real challenge and opportunity also for all of us to work. So therefore, at the national level, the Government of India has announced 2-3 major initiatives. Prime Minister's E-Vidya program is one of those. So under Prime Minister's E-Vidya program since 2020, we are running one class, one TV channel. For each class, there is a 24/7 TV channel. And also NCERT is feeding 400 radio stations across the country, including community radio stations and 132 all India radio stations, so that the resilient and coherent dissemination of digital contents are done, and it reaches to every rural mass, even if they don't have internet 4G or 5G connectivity. You rightly mentioned, if I talk about Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh, even whole Jammu and Kashmir also, and many other states in northeastern states. So they, even Andaman Nicobar Islands and Lakshadweep also. So they do have connectivity issues often. So therefore, the government is very conscious and using TV and radio as an alternate service. And they call it online and on air. So the PME Vidya envision to provide education using both online and on air mechanism, so that every rural remote area is addressed. And even if they have a TV set in the school, so using these videos and audios, so those can be shown, and using a DTH network also, which if you pay a set-top box for DD 3 days, so maybe around 2,000 rupees the schools and the parents also can buy. And similarly, it can be used for learning purposes also. And NCERT has a large collection of nearly 6,000 plus videos covering PAN class 1 to K-12 content. And recently also we have given it to 9 states who approached that they should take NCERT content in English, Hindi, and they can use at different levels, especially at secondary level, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th level, as per the NEP 2020, because now secondary stage covers 9 to 12. So they are also using. So we'll be happy that if this kind of contents are also provided offline in pen drive. Even in Jadui Pitara also we have put a 64 GB pen drive where e-contents, presentations and all are given ready-made to the teachers from day one. They can use that pen drive and use that Pitara content for teaching learning process and assessment process as well. So therefore TV, radio, even in disaster situation also, I remember when super cyclone was there in 1999 in Odisha, 300 km/h was the wind blowing and the 12 districts were devastated. Ham radio from Andhra Pradesh helped us to take the rescue operations and talk to the teachers and students across the state. So similarly, we have to ready for disaster, epidemic and pandemic situation also. And the PME Vidya, Prime Minister's E-Vidya program, which talks about online and on-air delivery of digital content, even the Digital India campaign also talks about that, should be done. And another enabler which Ministry of Education is having is one ICT at school component is embedded into the Samagra Shiksha, the bouquet. So because the Samagra Shiksha covers K to 12 classes, and the teacher education component is also added, adult education component is also added. So there also technology use is crucial, and 8.4 lakh rupees, 6.4 lakh has one-time allotment and 2.4 lakh as recurring budget is given to every school to set up ICT lab in the school, which will be again an enabler to use and integrate technology in teacher preparation. And even we also use in a large scale the continuous professional development program. My colleague Dr. Angel is also here as a part of the panel. So she is using technology, the whole CIT, NCERT is using technology for continuous capacity building program in cyber safety and security. And even how toy-based pedagogy and game-based pedagogy can be used by the teachers. And thousands of teachers are joining together using GeoSIM and GeoTV mobile app, where they are accessing PME Vidya DTS TV channels and the live telecast, even on YouTube, also on social media, and even on internet also through video conference and all. And NCERT itself is using 4 learning management systems. One is Diksha, and the teacher training scaling through Nishtha and Diksha route across the country. So far, 4 Nishtha teacher training has been launched in the country. Nishtha Elementary for 42 lakh teachers, Nishtha Secondary for 12 lakh teachers, Nishtha Foundational Literacy and Numeracy for 25 lakh teachers, and Nishtha ECC for Anganwadi workers, so for ECC workers. So it has been successfully run by different states, and it is available in a dozen of Indian languages also, not necessarily only in English and Hindi, which NCERT used to do that. So states are also supporting, and we are also using machine learning for translation of these modules into different languages and using that. So I strongly feel that use of technology, whether asynchronous or synchronous, in case of the learning management system. So live communication, not live communication. So could be embedded together, and a blended mode of teacher capacity building could be a better answer rather than only opting for online or only opting for face-to-face, which has a large communication loss due to following the cascade mode of training, multi-layer teacher training through face-to-face mode. Simultaneously, if we take the blended mode where we are infusing face-to-face for developing certain skills and online to deliver major key content, so that could help us in a better way. But once again, I will reiterate that we need to join together, government, corporate, CSR, startups, and the technology. And content, pedagogy, and technology together needs to be addressed and infused, so that there are different models also, TPCK, technological, pedagogical, content knowledge model, or ADI as a model, generic model also is used. 3 approach, 5P approach as a pedagogic model is also used. And there are many softwares already available. 3D, 2D, virtual labs also have been launched on Diksha. So if teachers would like to use virtual labs for science and other subject teaching, so it is other 218 virtual labs are already available on Diksha in collaboration with Amrita University and SIDAC. So we need to work together, join together, and reach out to every teacher in a time-bound manner as per the policy direction. So I hope that there will be sea change in the teacher's quality, and every teacher can be trained as a digital teacher as the budget announcement and the policy direction is. Thank you, Asif.
Thank you, Professor Behera. It was so enlightening, and the policy perspective, which you are the maker of the policy in the country. So none other than you could be the best person to explore. I mean, elaborately explain all those things. Before I proceed to Professor Rishi and Professor Angel, I must thank you on behalf of Tech Mahindra Foundation, since you have told me that for other engagements, you would like to speak initially. So respecting your engagement, and I know, and going forward, we definitely we will synergize our operations. There are many things to be done. We are aware that virtual lab is also set up in NCERT. So many good things, rather great things are happening in NCERT. NCERT is one of the finest institutions in the world that is recognized by UNESCO. So this is the hallmark. This is the time that I must congratulate on behalf of Tech Mahindra Foundation, that Tech NCERT, CIT, all those different top level institutions are doing tremendous work. And thank you for coming, for Professor Behera, and on behalf of TMF, Tech Mahindra Foundation, we look forward in future discussion and collaborations. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Sure. Thanks for the opportunity, and all the best for all your ventures, since you are celebrating a decade of intervention in education sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Namaskar, sir. So continuing with the conversation which Professor Behera has been talking about, I would like to come to Professor Rishi. So Professor Rishi, I think that I could see you on the camera, and then it will be more in the communication mode, and then yeah, I can see you. Wonderful. So, so what exactly do you feel the threats which was started by Professor Behera? You have to weave it further, and that how policy initiative. One part he was talking about that how CPD is planned at policy level in all over the country and so many things. And then we will come to Professor Angel after you, immediately after you. So, do you think there are some real issues which are not addressed? Like we have been doing pre-COVID face-to-face engagement all over the country with the mandate of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, the number of trainings which Professor where I was talking about. But still, why it is said that teachers doesn't seems to be interested in CPD, they don't like coming to the trainings, and somewhat you must have heard in the corridors of education power that government training are not interesting. What more can be done? Can you please tell us?
Yeah. Thanks, Asif Bhai and everyone at Tech Mahindra for having me over on this panel discussion. First up, my voice is clear enough? Audible?
Yes, yes.
Thanks. Yeah. So this is a very, I think, very useful topic because though everyone's talking about technology, I think, it is through these discussions that we will have to try and figure out as to how do we leverage technology, right?
Yes.
As Professor Behera gave us a very good overview on the importance of technology. Nobody can deny that. And, technology is what is going to come into our lives more and more on almost on a daily basis. And hence it is about how do we capacitate ourselves, which is including all of us teachers, and how do we ensure that every new technology is leveraged to the maximum. At this point of time, if you ask me, I think all of us are, initial reaction is one of fear when a new technology comes. Yeah. For instance, I think in the education corridors, Chat GPT has brought in some kind of anxiety, insecurity, and fear, and nobody's thinking of what is the best way of leveraging something like that, an AI-based instrument. So it is this mind shift that is very crucial for us to ensure that technology leverage can happen, and that's the reason why CPD for teachers integrating technology is very crucial. Because at the end of the day, it is our children in school today who are going to come into a world which is going to be filled with technology. And if teachers are equipped, in fact, if in the first place have had, this change in terms of the way we view technology as an aid and as a tool rather than as something that is competing with us, I think that change is very important. And then it would be possible for the teachers to then share with children, use technology in a manner that it is actually beneficial. So these are things that then can happen. And hence this whole idea of bringing in technology into CPD is very crucial. How we need to do it, what are the various things that need to come in are again things that will have to be worked out in detail. But when you look at the National Education Policy 2020, the draft report, which in fact is really the one can say, the annexure to which one will have to go to when you read the NEP is the DNEP, because that's where the details are. And DNEP is very clear that we will have to use technology, particularly in CPD, to ensure that we sort the problems, we solve the problems that we currently encounter. And Asif Bhai, the issue that you brought out is really the current problem. It's not about content. Behera ji also spoke about, so much of content, 6,000 content on Nishta, and so the content is not really an issue. And there are organizations which are continuing to create good content. So that can, on the sidelines be done, wherein good content, newer content keeps getting created. But at this point of time, for us, that is not the worry. For us, the concern really is, one, how do we reach this content across to teachers? And as you rightly mentioned, teachers are not at this point of time receptive to this. And there's a reason for it. The reason is not necessarily the teachers, right? The reason is somewhere else, which is what we need to look at and ensure that teachers find all this content that is getting uploaded or that is provided to them useful and interesting and attractive. Now, how do we do that? Many ways. NEP straight away provides one big thing, which I think has to be done at the central level and across the state, which is to ensure that there is a teachers agency, which is very strong when one talks about CPD. Currently, we continue to operate in the old paradigm of command and control, wherein there are higher level offices or institutions that are taking decisions on for the teacher. You know, that last teacher in that very remote village is being pushed by somebody sitting so far away at the state capital as to what is the capacity development that needs to happen. So in that sense, there is no P at all in this whole, push towards capacitating our teachers. The P, that is professionalism, comes when that individual identity is recognized and respected. The way we will respect the teacher is to ensure that the teacher is able to choose as to in which direction her profession can move forward, in which direction should her capacity happen, because she is really in the best position to decide that. Obviously, after that, she may require others, her supervisors at the cluster or the block level, or even the diet faculty, to engage and figure out as to whether the path that she is trying to identify is the best, or is there something else. Now, that is through a discussion that needs to happen. But currently, we are nowhere there. We are still operating out of that old paradigm of command and control, in spite of so much of technology getting established, a platform like Nishta being there. And why such few, even though we may speak of numbers in lakhs, but when you look at 10 million teachers, that's just a drop in the ocean. We still don't have the number of people who should be on board on these platforms. And I think the issue lies in the way that we are using these platforms. If there are state directives saying that there are 6,000 different modules on Nishta, all the teachers will have to do 1 to 10. Right? It makes no sense. There's no point then of bringing in technology. We might as well do it in person, because you say 1 to 10, these modules, okay, somebody from the diet or the BRC will go and deliver it. What's the point of technology, right? So we are still not in the NEP framework, if you were to ask me, right? You have to ensure that we build that platform so that the teachers are able to choose by themselves without directives from the state. What is the state supposed to do? They will have to ensure that that 50-day component is met by the teachers. That is where they will probably have to look at, the education departments will have to look at as to which teacher has done how much of those 50 days, which are the courses that are done by the teacher. The dads probably can come in there and say that, well, you seem to have done all these courses. In Nishta, there are some of these courses as well. Why don't you opt for this? Or if a state itself has a platform for some contextualized modules, so directing the teachers to say that why not this, it has to be in that kind of a facilitative manner that the capacity development will have to happen, which is when it will truly become CPD, right? And I think together all of us will have to move in that direction. I think NCERT and particularly CIT has done a fabulous job of giving us all the content now at a national platform. I think organizations such as yours, Tech Mahindra, is also enabled many things. I know that XStep is also working very closely with CIT. They've done a wonderful, technology integration. But then I think now it is time for us to ensure that it is used in the optimum way, so that teachers truly benefit from this approach. Yeah. I'll pause here. We'll probably have Dr. Angel come in as well, and then we can have it. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, Professor Rishi. It was very interesting. I know you are coming from the concern area. I mean, naturally, your concern is valid. And I think that Professor Angel is the right person to answer all those concerns in a broad framework. So the question directly goes to Professor Angel. What do you think that whether the Nishta and Diksha and all those efforts, which is coming up, means we were talking about bottom-up approach. We were also thinking about what is the participation of the teachers in making these technology accessible on individual level, making those CPDs as ownership kind of thing. That yes, this is a technology. I don't have to be dependent on something other external resource. So how CIT or these important portals which you are taking care of is bridging the gap?
Thank you, Mr. Asif, for giving this opportunity to share my views on this. And I appreciate the points which has been raised by Professor Rishi in terms of reaching out to a quality CPD. And there are two parts to look at. Like one as from that, like when we talk about it, to make it actually available and then making it really effective, that like the participants are benefited out of it. So both the things has to be equally treated of. We cannot just rule out one from each other. So one part is all these platforms that has been created is really making the availability of technology that can enable the CPD. Like for example, Diksha. Till last year, it was managed by different organizations, but now the government of India has taken over and NCERT has become the complete owner of the Diksha platform. And as he has brought it out, there should be a flexibility for teachers to choose the courses. Though there is a flexibility even now, but we are now moving to it. Last 5 years it was, and during this 5 years, we had around 2.5 years, we have spent time in pandemic. But even during this tough time, the technology was made available to continue the training without stopping anything. So that we have achieved in this 5 years. We could reach to every teacher to this technology, but now we are working towards, as even NCERT has now next phase of work in Diksha is to make the platform not just available, but as an accessible in all ways, as per the need of the teacher and also as per the requirement of creating a effective continuous professional development programs, and also following various strategies that will really help teachers to take that ownership. So that's what the work is happening right now. And we have come out with certain pilots already we have done and then tried out, which we found that it has worked out so well. And as of most of you are aware, Nishta is some program that has been decided at the central level based on the needs, based on the NEP. And then the course design was designed according to that, and it was given to the state, very rightly said by Professor Rishi. But that is also a mandate, because certain aspects of like every year in the last past experiences we are aware, we have done a lot of strategies of making like flexibility in teachers to choose and learn. But still we are not able to reach all the content to everyone. So the Nishta program is to take the essence of NEP to the teachers. So this is what is expected from the teacher. So if you see the course design itself, it is not made in such that just throw out some facts to them. So the program Nishta was designed keeping certain objective in place, but that's not sufficient. For a teacher to really build the classroom, to really make a quality education happening in the classroom, there is a need that the teacher should have a flexibility to choose and pick the courses or CPD programs which they really want to use it for their classroom. We cannot pressurize like all of them, please do artificial intelligence course, because there are teachers who doesn't know how to even touch a mouse still in our schools. So there is a reality is we need a lot of flexible courses, but there should be a way to streamline and mechanize and also find out that how that 50 hours are being taken up. That is where this we are bringing this particular VSK in every state, which can give a data-driven input to a state that whether the teacher is really completing their 50 hours. So that is one thing, one initiative to help a state to identify and check that 50 hours. So content-wise, if we see, there is a lot of orientation happening in the last 2 years to all the states, saying that the content should be prepared for courses and CPD programs at the state level, depending on their need. So there is a need to do a need analysis from the ground, field level. So this is something which NCERT is insisting to the state as well. Start from the need analysis. Don't go by just a commenter. Because this is a national concern, just don't put your effort on that. See from your field. That is what this curriculum framework work is also happening. Always it was a top to bottom approach, but this year it's a bottom to top approach. Try to understand what is there in the field. So even CPD in the last 2 years, when we have meetings with state, we are telling, come out with a list of things which you feel your teachers need to be supported. And we are telling them to make a list of multiple courses which will be available on the Diksha portal. But we also find a challenge in the last 2 years that the capacity building on developing a courses itself is a need. Just the list is made, but until and otherwise, very rightly pointed out by Professor Rishi, that until and otherwise, if the course is not made attractive, not made in a way that a teacher feels connected to the course, if the course is not made in a way that the teacher will feel that it is really, it's my responsibility, go ahead. If that methodology in the online course or what we call a cybergogy is not followed, that's going to be a challenge. Right now, there is a number of courses, but we are now working towards helping the state understand how the courses has to be prepared. There are a lot of partners who really come in now, partnering with the state. There are agencies who are coming, partnering with the states to develop the course content. But until and otherwise, we really build the capacity of the state organized authorities and officials to see whether what agency is providing is matching with their requirement or not. Then also there will be a gap. So NCERT is trying to work on that in this last 2 years. So this year we have also started a very specific training on a state resource group training on development of online course. Mostly it's like we are trying to focus on the strategies and methods to be followed in a capacity building program. Because we are doing capacity building program, this is not a new strategy, new thing for India. Capacity building programs are there, only the 50 hours is freeze now. Which was not very much freezed earlier. But the innovation should come in the way the CPD has to be done, the approaches to be followed. So NCERT is trying out multiple strategies. Like I would like to share some of our experiences in our second round, that what the variety, even we are trying to see what we have done in the past, and we wanted to change the strategies and see how effective it is. And we have found certain things to work out, certain things not working out. So we are coming out it as a guideline to others that this doesn't work, as case studies, which can help the states to take decision, which can even help the private agencies who are helping the state to develop content also to take certain decisions. That is the major area. There is a lot of research to be done in the strategy part of capacity building program that can give a lot of input. So I think I'll stop here for the next round of point to be discussed.
Yes. Thank you so much. It was such an excellent elaboration. I think that you basically answered Professor Rishi's concern. But we will continue discussing, Professor Angel, on this, because I also have a thought on this, that why NCERT should be the only agency doing for 1.4 billion population or millions of teachers, 10 million. So such a huge population, which Professor Behera was talking about. In spite of the best practices, in spite of the best policies, implementation will also and will be a concern. In Europe and many other countries which are of much smaller size, and Professor Rishi, I will come to your international journey which you have taken a few days back to Finland and many other countries. So we will come to that. But before that, don't you think, Professor Rishi, that what Professor Angel was talking about, that those need analysis, role of SCRT, participation of teachers, Nishtha and all those Diksha portal, means huge things have been done. But in spite of that, what is more required to connect the value to the CPD or leveraging it? You rightly pointed out, Professor Rishi, that 6,000 resources are there, and more than that, in fact, continuous work is going on day and night. It is a treasure house kind of NCERT. But in spite of that, do we see the change in our classrooms? Do we see the change of that, stirring effect in the teachers that yes, why NCERT should send a video? I will create my video and it should be rather used in wide scale. So my question to you, Professor Rishi, will be that in the situation when the teachers are very much internet savvy, Professor Angel was talking about pandemic. It is a time of Web 2. It is also a time of artificial intelligence, machine learning, coding, programming, as well as gaming. Professor Behera also talked about that. Do you think teachers are finding it very difficult, or rather knowledge management, what to do and what not to do, has become a problem for them? And how to come out of this, dilemma?
Yeah. Yeah, no, very good point. But Asif, I think, institutions such as NCERT are there for a purpose. And so, that's very important to recognize. And we require NCERTs and the SCERTs because, as you very well know, there's just so much of content outside. And if we say that everyone would like to create their own content and that can go up there, who's going to validate it? Who's going to see, for instance, a very simple thing, whether at this point of time, we as a nation are saying NEP 2020 is the framework, right, which we are going to use to move education in a certain direction. So an institution like NCERT is the one that can provide that direction. And so it will have to be NCERT, which will, even if not creating all the content, ensure that there is vetting of it. So once there is content coming on Nishtha or Diksha, and as Dr. Angel said, it's very nice to see that NCERT has been given the a complete control over the content, because then the responsibility also can completely rest with NCERT. And so that I think is very important for us to recognize. Just because any of us can create content and upload, it shouldn't be the approach that we take. Because as we all know, it's so difficult to figure out as to where are the appropriate contents.
True.
Right. And I think that's really where, for instance, I would see far more effort. I would like to see far more effort to come in from the SCERTs now. I think we all recognize NCERT's efforts. There is a lot of collaboration happening, and we are seeing, people like Dr. Angel, Dr. Behera investing so much of their time and effort over the years. Now, but then we don't see the same kind of involvement in all our SCERTs. There are a few SCERTs, there are a few people, who've done, because, for instance, I would like to see all people within our SCERTs to be completely aware of what is there on Nishtha. Today, that is not the case. If you speak to everyone in SCERT, they are not. One can very easily blame the teachers. The teachers don't know anything that is there on Nishtha. But then how many teacher educators at the SCERT, at the diets know of this? That is, I think, of paramount importance. And I think as teacher educators, is very crucial to understand as to what are the resources available, particularly now the digital resources, which NCERT has approved. And it is only after that can you then go and engage with the teachers to say, like, why don't we do this? Or, even help them through their professional development planning. So that's something that is very important. Two is, we had a model in Karnataka about 6-7 years ago, which was a very useful blended model that was there. There were almost 120 odd modules that were created by the diet faculty with involvement of the teachers. Some of those modules were online. Of course, some of my colleagues from the foundation were also there. And somewhere those modules that had to be delivered in person. Now, technology was used in a very different way here. Of course, some were online modules which the teachers could go back and then refer to, but technology was used for planning the CPD. So wherein a platform was created by the Education Department of Karnataka, where teachers could view the modules and opt for a module that they preferred. Now, those were 3-day modules, 5-day modules, and it was integrated backwards to their entire system of, how they manage the teacher's work life. So for instance, let's say I opt for a 3-day module, and the 3-day module is going to begin next month. I don't have to then run around speaking to my head teacher, speaking to my BEO for a leave for those 3 days or nothing of that sort. Moment I opt for it, it is integrated backwards and it goes to whoever is supposed to be responsible, that me as a teacher in my school is not going to be available on these 3 days because those are the 3 days that the module is going to run wherever. And then if there is supposed to be another additional teacher that is required, which is anyways a BO's role, the BO is supposed to ensure that. And there is enough time for all that to be done, right? So this was also taking care of the other problem that teachers speak of when we speak of CPD, that, you know, information comes to them the previous week or many times previous day, and they just have to, you know, run the next day. So these things were taken care of, and technology was integrated like this to even do the planning. And in fact, it was done in such a way that if there was a cohort that was forming for a particular module in, let's say, the block, that capacity building workshop would happen in the block itself, in the BRC, right? Rather than they all come to the state. But of course, if there were very few who have chosen a particular module, only 10 teachers across the state, then obviously it would be something that would be held, you know, in the state capital or in any regional centers. So this way, technology was brought in to ensure that even the process of ensuring that a workshop happens, the logistics is taken care of. Right. So I think, you know, that is something that is also useful for us to keep in mind as to which all ways in which we can use technology. Just one thing which I would want to flag is, you know, this needs assessment. It also requires a paradigm shift in terms of what or how we do it. Many times needs assessment is done through these long survey sheets wherein teachers pretty much tick everything because they know that nothing is going to come out of it. So when you analyze some of these teacher need analysis data, there is really nothing that comes out. And finally, you end up just, you know, creating modules that, you know, we think are the right ones for teachers. So rather than that, we broadly know which are the weak areas. So in fact, I would think we need not even go to the need analysis part at all, because we have the national achievement surveys by NCERT, and using NAS data, we know as to which are the weak areas of our children. And obviously children are weak in that because our teachers are unable to, you know, deal with those topics the way it has to be dealt with. And so those are the areas that we need modules in. Right. And so once we have modules in that, obviously the teachers will opt for it. And when they don't opt for it, obviously there can be a discussion at the district level saying that our districts seem to have fared very poorly in this particular language concept. And there is a module that is there, and it would be useful for language teachers to take that module. Right? So this is the way we will have to use it. One is provide autonomy for the teachers, at the same time ensure that we use other data to, you know, see that there is alignment of what is the kind of CPD that is being designed.
Yeah, I think that is valid, Professor Rishi. And I think that there are lots of hope in whatever, in spite of those, you know, upheaval, you know, pathway. But what you said about TNA, the analysis of the questions, it is not designed as such. Though Professor Angel also knows it, and she is smiling on this question, that, you know, it is so data centric, yes, no kind of, or it is always close-ended. So it is not going to help much. And if the teachers are not coming from that perspective, what exactly is the need? And they should be truthful. So then only the things can be improved, because what is the need? Need analysis means they have to be very clear on the need itself. When the need is not understood, how in an SCRT, how in any university or NCERT is going to help. But I was just wondering, Professor Angel, that it is time of artificial intelligence. We also talk about chat GPT and all those things now commonly used. Rather, it is I don't know whether it has turned out to be a monster or a boon for the entire scenario or future. I don't know. But yes, how this analysis of data teachers need, or how our training program content, and Professor Behera was also talking about TPAC, so which we are quite aware about that. So how this shift is possible in the training programs to really address this individual needs or individual abilities or the requirement of the teachers widespread in the geography. Because in spite of same curriculum all over India, we adopt NCF and then new education policy right now. Textbook is common, multiple things are there. Even the books which are coming now, they will also be common for the country. But still, the requirement will be different. So how technology can be helpful? what do you foresee? What will be the future of taking those nuances into planning and then implementing? Professor Andy.
Thank you, Mr. Asif. This is one, I just wanted to start with this need analysis part, because that's one misconception most of the states even have. When we say need analysis, it is some questionnaire you give to teacher and collect what do they want. And they ask many times, we don't get it. That also happens because
Yes.
first of all, they are not having time to reflect on themselves. They are not trained to reflect on themselves to most of the time. But in the last 2 years, we have seen a different scenario as well. I don't deny that all the time it happens, because NCERT has been conducting training, and at the end of every training, we ask the questionnaire like, no, in the feedback, we ask, what is the other trainings you want? But when we did it, people never, we didn't find a very great impact from that, as you have rightly said. But there is a little bit change which we have seen in the past 2 years. Like, for example, in the past 2 years, we are conducting, due to COVID, we started a training in an online mode. Every week, last month, 5 days, 5 hours of training. But at the end, we have collected a kind of a feedback form where we have asked what areas of technology you need training. And for us, it's surprising, in the last 2 years, we have got around 4 lakh data. 4 lakh people who have submitted the entries, and we could see that very specific need has come out of it. Because this pandemic has made them to realize where they stand in the use of technology, and they have tried reflecting on themselves, and they are able to come out. So what we found is, this area we could get a lot of input. But the similar way, every month we are also conducting a cyber safety training. But when we analyze the data of that cyber safety training, we don't get much input because teachers do not know that area. But in terms of technology, because they have started experiencing, they were able to identify what they want, at least at a minimum level. So it depends on the area we require a questionnaire, but that's not the only way to do a need analysis. So that is where NCERT has also come out with a document. What are the possible ways of doing a need analysis? What all you should look at? Even sometimes observation should become a need analysis. It's not always something always in a document manner. We should not always wait for a panel discussion. So when you are observing something happening in the state, we should be sensitive to that. So that's how NCERT has come out with a guideline to tell the states, all these are possibilities of doing it. Why don't you look into it and then try to identify? As one more question, which you were telling up, why only NCERT? But that's not happening really, only NCERT. Only NCERT will not be able to surely. There is a lot of collaboration happening. It's not in terms of content development alone, for even implementation. So one example I would like to bring here is, right now, everywhere there is a lot of pressure and need to develop, to improve the capacity of teachers in the area capacity building with respect to cyber safety security. It's a very common thing that there is a I4C set up at MHA, there is a committee set up at every ministry, and there is that's a core area which is coming up because of the cyber crimes happening. But NCERT alone cannot work in this area in developing content nor in training. Absolutely. So we made a complete team, who is ready to collaborate. We have CDAC from Ministry of IT. We have I4C from Ministry of Human Home Affairs. It's not only the government agencies. We have NGOs who are working on this area. We have individuals who are working on this area as co-partners. So right now we discussed that, okay, already you are working in a particular state. Why will NCERT go and pressurize that state again? Already you are there, let's do together. But can we come out with some common things, a strategy on the content, which we can make use of it? Can we come with certain implementation plan? That's how we work together, where we take a lead to call them everyone together and then make that collaboration happen. So that's where we are trying to play a role in the capacity building. And there are agencies, they are very strong in one particular area. That is a kind of collaboration which the ministry also encourages, not to this NCERT's work, and NCERT is into it. Coming to the point of this artificial intelligence and all that, so this is the first time even the NCF complete development is happening through online platform. Earlier, it's completely in the sense, though the focus groups are happening in a physical mode, things are happening, but the collating of the document, usually it takes more than a year to collate each document that comes from the states and at the national level. We sit, read, and then pull out important points and then collate it. But this time, AI has been integrated into the HCF platform, which does that to pull out all the information from various focus group discussions, take all the main points. And as the point which was told, it's not just always for the content management or delivery, but there is a lot of other administrative things which takes our time. So AI is really helping in that. Right now, we are trying to work out on it. But I feel, this is my personal opinion as well, that I feel that we are still in an infant stage to even to understand the reality of all these implications in the country like India. Because like we have tried chatbot in Diksha, but still the thing is, it's not chatbot becomes intelligence by itself. There is a lot of intelligence to be fed by human intelligence.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that needs a huge lot of work that we have to invest now. But one thing which we see is there is already the government of India has identified this as a core thing, and we are working on it. We have started. We are not lacking behind. We have started. But there is a lot of effort to come in. There is a lot of skill set to come in. Rather, like even Ministry of Education points out that it is not just like taking 2-3 people and do a work. There are different skill set required when we wanted to go for AI integration or like open things, whatever, even free and open source integration. It's not a very simple thing which we are talking for 5 years. Open educational resource, we are talking very detailed for 5 years, but still it's not a one skill set. So we are trying to pull up a skill set which can be a boon to this country to work out on this area to start. I think from the learnings from other international countries who have used, there are enough negatives and enough positives. Yeah, like even last 2 days back, there is a message that US is like against YouTube, but now we are starting 101 YouTube channels. Every government agency is launching a YouTube channel. So there is a lot to work. We have to come together to work. All the agencies who are having their core intention to contribute to education should come together. Lot of discussion is required before we start the work.
So absolutely. So Dr. Angel, thank you very much for clarifying doubts on that. And we totally agree what you said. And since in the interest of time, we will trying to wind up in another 5-7 minutes, and then we will take questions of the participants who are there listening to us. So I will come to Professor Rishi, to you, that what Dr. Angel was talking about, international experiences. Can you tell us briefly that what kind of continuous professional development is taking place globally, or some good examples or effective examples which are implementable in our country in CPD focusing? And I totally agree, Dr. Angel, that the small things, or which I can say small means, many people can run the show for cybersecurity. In fact, TMF is also doing so many sessions with the teachers. It is our regular program for working with the cyber safety. But if for all the things NCERT is being called, it will be overwhelming. That I was trying to put, and you have rightly said that so much collaboration are possible, so many stakeholders are to be involved, then only the transformation is possible. So back to you, Professor Rishi, that some good examples which are implementable in our country from the world examples.
Yeah. So before I get to that, this last point is important.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
NCERT is the academic nodal agency for the country, right? And so obviously there's a lot that is expected from NCERT, and but then given the size and the scale at which we operate, it's not feasible for NCERT to handle everything. For instance, when I said that digital material, for instance, has to get vetted. Now, if there's so much of content getting created, obviously it's not possible for NCERT to vet each and every content. But then there could be, two categories of content. One, that NCERT has got vetted by other agencies that it works with or itself. Another category saying that we think that these are good content, but then what NCERT, for instance, can come out with, which would be useful, is a guideline saying that these are the things that one should expect in an educational content. And these are the things that should not be there. And the moment you spot some of these red flags in a content, it has to be discarded. Or one can even say that let it be brought to the notice of NCERT or the SCERT so that they can review it. So these are the kinds of things that we probably can do to manage this, the scale and the volumes at which currently, the digital repository exists, and it is going to go on, on those lines. So those are some of the things, I think, as Dr. Angel rightly said, many things which we can discuss and come out with even better solutions. But yes, I mean, when we say all responsibility with NCERT, doesn't really mean that every single thing, is expected to be done by them. Obviously, it's not feasible given the scale with which we operate.
Yes.
Yeah, coming to the, the international learning from experiences, or, what the world out there is doing, I think one thing which commonly is seen across all good education systems or education systems that are noteworthy is that there is a lot of trust that is placed in every single stakeholder, right? Beginning with the teacher. The trust on the teacher is something that you see, which is the highest in the most successful education system and the lowest in the systems that are really struggling. And that is what you will see across the international spectrum. So the question really is now, how is it that we can ensure that we are, placing the trust, and that trust that is placed on a teacher is also, is respected, right? So that is really what needs to be worked with. So obviously, when you say trust to the teacher, and when you start looking at as to why is there currently a lack of trust and more inspectorial kind of a framework still in operation, is because there is trust lacking across the system. So, if we are saying trust the teacher, obviously then at another level, one has to trust the BRCs. Another level, we need to trust the diet faculty. So this way, I think overall in our system currently, there is a trust deficit. So finally, it lands up that the teachers don't trust the parents, and finally the parents don't even trust the children, right? So it's kind of a vicious cycle. So we will have to bring in trust in many different ways. And I think CPD is a great way to begin that. So for instance, NCERT providing NISTA, and then they've also said that states now contextualize it. That in itself is in some way placing the trust on the state, saying that we trust you. Now SCRTs, when they take up, and they say, oh, NCERT is giving us these broad, they're giving these modules, but they're also trusting us to work on them and contextualize it. Similarly, then trusting the diets to say that, why don't you contextualize it to the district? Maybe you can take this online module and have a blended thing planned, So currently, even if you look at the trust pretty much ends at the district level. After that, it's a complete command control. So I think that trust will have to percolate all the way down to the teachers, which is, I think, the biggest learning when you look at the international scenario and see which are the countries doing very well, which are the countries not doing as well as even us. You see that this is really the key. I mean, at least if you ask me, I pick this up very clearly. Obviously, there are many other things that, better funding, better qualifications and things like that, which I think is, these are things that one plans and moves in a certain direction. But things that we can individually, each of us can do is try and see in which way we bring in, bring in this aspect of trust. And particularly in this topic, when you're talking of CPD, trusting the teachers to decide as to what is it that they would like to do. Moving forward, and we touched upon ChatGPT and bot-based approaches. It's going to become more and more common, right? I mean, that's the direction in which we are going. So the question really is, how are we equipping ourselves to handle this? And that's really where I think the thinking and discussion and platforms and organizations such as Tech Mahindra can come in. For instance, IB has allowed ChatGPT. And IB being one of the most progressive school boards that one has seen in the world, obviously, it is a very, very progressive step taken. Now, not all IB teachers would be ready for dealing with that, right? So if a student is coming in with ChatGPT enabled response or work, then how do you as a teacher deal with that student? Because it's being allowed. So you're not dealing with the student saying that, oh, you've done something wrong. It's like, okay, you use ChatGPT to get this. Now, how do I assess as to what is it that you got out of it? So that's where even the assessment is moving then, right? So you can't block away something which is bot based, because bot is going to keep getting fed, as Dr. Angel rightly said, through more and more of the human intelligence, and it is going to get better and better. The more it gets fed, it's going to get better. So now there are going to be more and more children, more and more students, even at the university level, who are going to continue using it. And when something is there, why not use it? I mean, after all, technology has to be leveraged. It has to be used. For what else is it getting created? Now, the question is, while being used, how is it that, for the purpose of education is to enable our cognitive process to get better. So while using ChatGPT, how am I enabling that is my issue at the school level. Similarly, higher education level, slightly more complicated. We'll not go there today. But then, so this is really where one will have to start thinking about as to how do we now enable our teachers to, figure out a way where bot-based knowledge is going to get generated and children are going to use it. Now, how am I going to still enable my children to continue on their learning journey? That's really where we have to move. In fact, it was quite surprising for me. I was engaging with a large group of principals from elite private schools, and this was almost 3 months after ChatGPT was released, and they had not heard of ChatGPT except for a couple of them. So you're keeping technology so far away, saying that if it enters, it's probably insecurity. As I began, it's probably insecurity. It's probably fear, saying that, oh, if technology enters, I may not be here anymore. So now, one will have to hence make that paradigm shift and then try and figure out how we move forward. I'll stop here. I think.
Wonderful, Professor Rishikesh. My question was intentionally put like that. You understand that. I wanted to know your view and the perspective that whether people like you are fine with the technological changes adopted by the teachers and the students, even if it is not seen very progressively. So this is the thing. And since we are coming to almost a closer of the discussion, although I really feel like talking more on this issue with you people, because it is making it more in-depth analysis of the situation in the hand. But I would like to close with the last question, rather, and overview. One more question will be there for Dr. Angel. So, Dr. Angel, my question is what Professor Rishi was talking about leveraging technology. So, how teachers need to be updated? How teachers can use those technology, which Professor Rishi was talking about, to equip themselves, to improvise themselves, to update themselves, to just match with those students who are using ChatGPT kind of. So would you like to share some thought on this?
From our experiences of doing this technology based, like how to use technology in the classroom kind of trainings in the last few, at least I'm directly involved from NCERT for the past 8 years into it. What we have seen is the first thing is the willingness for a teacher to use technology is something as a barrier. We have seen teachers at this age who has got nervous problems when they touch the mouse, which is not an expected thing. Which we were also surprised. The person who touched the mouse was like he locked himself into the room for an hour, and he fainted because of frequent touch like experience with the technology, which was very surprising because the teacher was from so-called the best school of the country. So still teachers are at that level, and at one point we have teachers who are into ChatGPT, and then so we have a diversity in the teacher. So we cannot plan anything in a common, and we have to have various levels. So that's where one of the area we are working now is like we have come to this realization, though it was there with everyone already, but with a solid concrete experiences, we have come with this realization. And we are trying to reach out to teachers, not as a common thing. And we suggest this also to state that, first of all, try to understand where do your teachers stand in use of technology. then give interventions according to their level. Don't expect a teacher who is novice to just become a tomorrow AI user. That will never help. Though budget announcement says every teacher has to become a digital teacher, but every teacher may not, it is not a cup of tea for every teacher to become a digital teacher. So policy also doesn't mean that, or budget announcement doesn't mean that. The way we interpret it means it a lot. So what we say is, yes, the teacher has to become a digital teacher, but at what level? If the teacher is at 0 level, let the teacher move to the first level, at least to use her own. During this Nishta launch, when the pandemic started, suddenly our Nishta program was like, we need to look the complete program because it started as a face-to-face program. At that point of time, we were completely like shocked, like pandemic came, what we have to do. And it suddenly moved to a complete online program. Still, I have experienced like a very basic experience of children of the teachers calling to my number and scolding me. What are you people doing? Telling my parents to do online course. They don't know how to use mobile on and off. And you want them to do online course. That's the kind of teachers we have.
Yes. Yes.
But what we have seen over 2 years is the first year teachers really struggled. But all the state took effort in first orienting teacher at the first level. How do you really use your phone first? Second level, how to install an app, then go for logging in into a course. This step-by-step approach, keeping the personal need of a teacher is very much important to reach to a teacher at this scale. So though we have a large scale, we cannot do a program at large scale implementation on a uniform manner. We need to work out strategies, and we have severe internet connectivity issues. Though Nishta has gone online, we couldn't implement it in so many parts of the country because of internet issues. So that's where we started doing this program in a blended mode, that it started coming up in the TV channels. And through TV channels, we reached to the teacher. Through radio channels, we started reaching to the teacher. So there is the need to really work on various strategies. And not only from the international experience, there are several experiences. Monthly, we have a discussion at NCRT with every state. And we are also giving scope for discussion with all the agencies through a live program where they can come and share the best practices. So that this helps us to build, and then we plan our strategies ahead as in a collaborative manner. There are excellent. Sir has pointed out about this Karnataka's experience, and based on that experience, initially when Nishta moved online, Nishta also was developed with a platform having that as a base. So there are very good things in our country which has been implemented, and we need to think about bringing in together. So there is one program which is running now called Vidya Amrit Mahotsav, like where we are taking up all the best practices across the country to ensure that we don't only look for international experiences and good practices. There are individual teachers who have done good things in their own schools to bring the school education to a better manner. And there are teachers who have used technology for their own capacity building. I would like just to share with one case study like which we have come across. One single individual teacher from a primary school who was trained by NCRT. He just came as a person who didn't know much of technology. He was part of our training, and we gave 5 days input to him. When he went back, he decided to share his knowledge. So what he did is he didn't have a backup from state because he was not a state official, nor even a part of a state capacity building team. He was an individual primary school teacher. The way he started is he wanted to start capacity building of his own teachers. His school didn't have a computers, his school didn't have a lab. So he called interested teachers and they started gathering in the park. 2 hours, they charged their laptop, bring to the park, they started doing a capacity building program in the park. One person who was sitting in park every day was observing them every Sunday. And he said, what are you people doing? So they said, like, our teachers should know how to use technology in classroom. So he said, I have a computer center. I will offer my computer center on every Sunday to you. So then they moved to the computer center, started doing Sunday classes free of cost, one teacher's effort. Then it has flourished, and today they do international trainings. It is completely voluntary teachers based. It's not an organization. It's not a state funded program. It's not a government funded program. but it's all about the interest and willingness of a person to learn. But the moment the teacher takes the responsibility, capacity building has flourished. It is as rightly pointed out, government can and all the agencies can make available things, but the interest should come from the participants who wanted to learn. For that, we need to really do a lot of motivation rather than giving factual informations to them and threatening them with all the new things available. They are aware that there are new things available around them. Only we need to give that a positive energy and motivation, saying that you can move ahead in your own speed. You're not expected to compete with another teacher. There is technology at whatever level you have, please use it. That's what we wanted to tell you through the capacity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Angel. Wonderful. And it is so heartening, to know that, yes, there is power is within teachers and they are the main transformational agents. And I would like to conclude with Professor Rishi, and then we will come immediately to the question answer, because I am getting so many questions for both of you. Although I think that I will be able to take this 1 and 2 only, and the rest can send us through mail, which we can connect later on. The final thing from Professor Rishi, what are the 2-3 things you want to highlight based out of the conversation we had today? Based on this, how can we scale up? How can we finally leverage? What are the important 2-3 points we need to do as a strategy or mechanism to implement the things for a better planning for CPD in India through technology? You're muted.
She is on.
I think, yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Thank you. So I think the advantage that we have is a lot of the foundational things are in place for, CPD. So it is about building on that. So if you are looking at, so I'm not going into the foundational things that are already there, which Dr. Angel and Professor Behera also have spoken of it. It's more about now ensuring that, we refine it further. And I think Dr. Angel spoke of the collaboration NCERT is doing. I think those collaborations are very useful to refine what we already have. Yeah. So other than that, I'm more concerned, as I began also, with how do we ensure that the teachers do see that by using whatever is already there, that they can actually have a truly useful and a meaningful professional development, right? That's really where I think we need the effort currently to ensure that teachers do feel that once they engage with, let's say, any of the platforms, be it at the national level, what NCERT is created, or if any SCERT is created, that I will find this very meaningful after I go through a particular course and I get the certification. It's not just about getting that paper in hand, but it would have enhanced my capabilities as a professional teacher. So one really is to ensure that we get the teachers to start feeling that way. Now, to do that, it can't be done just, it can't be done outside the institutional mechanisms that we have. I think, there is a good reason why we have the current institutional mechanisms. So we need to ensure, hence, particularly the diets. I'm a big fan of the diets. I know that today people don't agree with me given the state of our diets, but then, from the point of view of institutions, and I think, and where diets have done well, I mean, it's just done some tremendous, change to the district. So I think to ensure that our diets are capacitated to be thinking on these lines for CPD, looking at, what they engage with teachers as an engagement of developing or engagement with professionals, right? Currently, they still continue to teach or look at things as training and training the teachers who are, below them. So that change again is something that will have to happen. How and what of it? There are, again, as Dr. Angel was saying, many examples in our country. We can learn from that and figure out as to how do we do that. So that is my second one, that, bring in all the institutions. So for instance, we know SCRTs are not capacitated. I mean, I made the statement that I would like to see a lot more from SCRT, but I also know that there is a capacity issue at SCRT. Many SCRTs don't even have, all the staff required. But then we can't do away with these institutions. It is building of these institutions that is very crucial. That is the second one. And the third one, I think is where really we begin to respect the teacher. And how is it that we respect the teacher? We respect the teacher by ensuring that CPD, or when a teacher is interested in CPD, it is not something that is seen as outside their official line of duty. Currently, when a teacher wants to do CPD or wants to get into some kind of a capacity development program, either they are looked up as someone who's wanting something which others don't want, so there is something wrong with that person, right? Or someone who is very competitive, wants to climb the ladder. It's not seen as a very innate human need, right? I mean, anyone interested in, or anyone deeply invested in their professional life would be wanting that capacity development to happen. So respecting the teacher by doing many things that can happen at the back end. So for instance, moment the teacher wants a CPD, currently any module or anything that the teacher wants to attend, the number of permissions he has to seek, many good teachers don't want it, right? They say, I might as well do my good job with my children, at least they will benefit. They will have to run around, first speak to the head teacher will push her to the BO, the BO will say, get a letter from here and there. The onus is on the teacher. The onus has to be on the system to enable. Moment I as a teacher want something to happen, the system should enable me to just go and do it, right? So that's really something that has to happen from the back end at the system level. So these three, I think, are very crucial for us if you have to think of CPD.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much. It is so many ideas, so many interconnectedness of the thought process, which started with Professor Behera, going forward to Professor Rishi and Dr. Angel. Really, it was a wonderful discussion, and definitely what Alvin Toffler said, and I would like to say the same thing which Professor Rishi was talking about. This learn, relearn, and unlearn is the key to all those CPDs, and this is important attribute for all 21st century learners. So thank you very much once again from Tech Mahindra Foundation. And now I would like to take a question. And I have got a specific questions for Dr. Angel, a specific question for Professor Rishi. But I think that I will be able to ask just one each because it is we are over the time, it is 11:34. So starting with Dr. Angel. So the question is like this: how can we create processes and capacity for in-service teachers to make informed choices about the usefulness and effectiveness of demand-based professional development programs? Means the question is focusing on this choice of the demand-based courses of the requirement.
Making choices is one of the biggest skill set among, not with the teachers alone, we start from our school days itself. But what we are seeing is that is coming up slowly. There is a change. Earlier, like this 50 hours was made by teachers mostly as a count, but now we are seeing that teachers also feel that when there is a recognition, when there is certain incentives, when they are getting opportunities, they are also trying to make a appropriate choice, but there is a need for a guideline on that. So like after this NEP has come up, there is a short, smaller guideline which has come from NCERT on what kind of capacity building programs should look like and how it should run up. That's for maximum is for the organizers. But now slowly what's happening is like we are working out on coming out with the inputs to even teachers. How do you make your choice? How do you make your selection? On what parameters you can think about to make a choice of a course? This is not that teachers do not know, but it is only to bring that in a conscious effort to bring it again. Because they are also running with multiple activities where they get lost. So we just wanted to give them a tip sheet in their hand. So though when you are making a choices, please make these kind of choices so that your CPD program will become effective for you and you will be benefited out of it. It's not only at the teacher level, at all the various level, when the school heads are going to organize any CPD programs, what they have to do about it. This is a kind of guideline which is in huge demand. And we also wanted to talk about the process of the CPD, like what are the different steps that has to be followed. Many times what happens is 5 days CPD, okay, call for a resource person. 2-3 people do the program, close it. There is a TADA involved, settle it, amount is settled. But that's not with the CPD. Where do you start? Where do you close? What are the things that has to be taken care? So that is something which we wanted to really come out in the process document to guide everyone, so that to make the CPD meaningful. So we are taking all the experiences from the national and international organization to bring out the process document, and also a guideline document which we are expecting to be released in the next academic year, so that this CPD will be strengthened in all the places. There is various parameters involved, but surely starting from how do you find out this place, how do you even make choices at the state level to decide on what should be given under CPD, till how teachers can select and be made use of it. There is a need for a guideline and a process document which we are going to work out. And we are open for anyone to share your experiences which you have worked out, so that we can take all that collaboratively into the document.
Thank you very much, Professor Angel. And it was so nicely and in detail you answered. I got a question for you, Professor Rishi, but it is almost answered while discussion. So I'm not taking up for a simple, because the solution has been given. That was based on unique experiences or individualized program, which Dr. Angel and you talked about. So thank you very much once again. It was a wonderful, occasion for all of us at Tech Mahindra Foundation to talk to you people, and that is people like you are the experts in the field. And thank you very much once again, Professor Rishi, that you traveled. I know that I was disturbing you while you were traveling in different countries, only 2 days since last many days and last 2 days only. And Professor Angel, I know that you are also in Assam and taking session, and still 150 teachers or so people are waiting outside for your session to engage. And it was, I know that after all those things, definitely our teachers must have got many cues and many hope that technology is going to really help transform our education system, especially with the continuous professional development. And institutions like Tech Mahindra Foundation, which is having 3 institutes in Delhi, and then engaging with all the MCD teachers, definitely work together with NCRT and all the organizations to make it happen. That yes, future is there and technology is going to leverage in a large scale what we are looking for. Thank you once again. And participants, if you like to send questions, we are sharing on the screens. Our email ID is there, events@techmahindrafoundation.org. If you like to short a mail on questions unanswered or new questions, please write on this mail. Thank you once again. We are closing the session.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, everyone.